Okay. How many times when you have a discord with someone, a situation, a conflict, okay, that just frustrates you, brings up some energy and it feels frustrating, how many people do you call afterwards? Okay. Many years ago, in my spiritual training, Spirit would say to me, now sit before you pick up the phone to call someone, okay, to vent, sit with it and get real still. Find the trapped emotions. Find what's disturbing your inner peace, okay? Let it move through you. And then if you still want, you can pick up the phone and call who you need to call, okay? And it became a discipline I was doing with myself in my spirit. The other part with that is I want you to pay attention to how many times you actually do call people. How many times do you tell the story to people? How long after the situation happened are you still telling the story to other people and still emotionally charged and frustrated as you're telling it? And then let's just say there's a situation where somebody treated you a certain way and it wasn't the best, right? And you called and you shared it with someone. And then you sat down with that person and you guys had a conversation and that person apologized. Do you actually call the people that you called to vent and tell them, hey, and now this is actually what happened. This person apologized and the situation's been resolved. Because sometimes in their mind, the conversation is still playing out and they're festering on it. And that becomes unhealthy. It means the story is still playing out because you shared it with all these different individuals. And that's actually not getting people where they need to go. This is about like being present in the now. And even though that is a very popular way of saying that these days, let's say something happened years ago. And I'm going to actually share a story with this, but let's say something happened years ago and you're having the conversation now and it's still, you can feel the emotional charge and you can feel all this stuff. Well, that means it's still playing out now. Emotionally, there's something still needs to be healed. Not that it's gonna keep going like this, but there's still something that's showing you inside that it wants to be healed. And so this is for you to look at and to start embracing inside and meditating and healing what that is and releasing it. There's a misconception about what surrender means, okay? I heard someone once say, oh, they wanted me to surrender and I'm not doing that. And it felt all like, yeah. And I just raised my hand and I simply said, hey, can I tell you what surrender means to me? And surrender means to me, and this is something I was doing with my spiritual discipline, is going inside in my heart and really looking at it within me and seeing what my role was in it, what that is that I needed to heal, forgive, and let go of. And when it was just so heavy and my awareness to it, and usually there's lots of crying when you do this, this is when I actually handed over to God. I hand it over to Spirit, I hand it over to Source because I no longer wish to carry it. And when you do that, you're transmuting the energy. You don't need that heaviness. You see it within yourself. You're forgiving yourself for what happened. So, a story I'll share is years ago, my son got shot in the head. And I knew the universe was doing everything to get him to come home. And see, this is actually still emotional for me. So clearly there's a little more healing that needs to be done. But when that happened, it was like some months later, I was meditating and I could feel this like frustration that was just like in me. And it was kind of like some anger and frustration, all that stuff. And I heard Spirit say, can you appreciate that he's still here? Because my energy was stuck in, because he didn't die. And so instead of, my energy was just what was stuck and just being frustrated that he didn't come home that night. And there was this whole situation there. Instead of appreciating the beauty and the gift of life that God blessed him with, that he's still here. And that his spirit blessed him with, and that his soul wanted. Because I have grandkids, and he's their dad. And he has more to do with his family and to heal them. So for me, that was a really hard realization, because as moms, we want to love our kids so much. And sometimes where we can miss the mark is feeling like if we stay frustrated or upset about something, that's helping them, but that's not. That's actually hurting us. And so it's important to just really start to be mindful of the emotions and the thoughts and the stuff that you're holding on to, and ask yourself, does it feel like it's lifting you up? Is it even necessary to hold it anymore? Because if it isn't, you can let it go. And the way of letting it go is, again, it's surrendering on the inside. It's meditating on the inside. And it's releasing it to a higher power that's more high vibrating, more loving, more compassionate, more understanding. Because you no longer want to carry it. So there was another one. I'll just share this. And this was with my mom and I. This was before she passed, and the universe was kind of moving me around to different places, and I ended up going to stay at their house for a while. And we were sitting outside, and I knew, because my guides had already shown me, that there was something that she needed to forgive, that she wasn't letting go of. And I knew the incident of what happened. And so when we were outside, I said, Mom, is there something that you're not forgiving or you want to let go of? And she said, well, and she brought up that incident. And I was like 11 or 13 years old. And she got really upset with me because I had broke my dad's eagle on accident. And she continuously slapped me across the face, screaming at me. And she said, and then I had to use all my babysitting money to buy the eagle, a new one for my dad. And she said, I never should have had you pay for that eagle. And I said, is that what you think this is about? Money? And I said, no, it's because you made that material object more important than my well-being. And I said, this is what happened. She said, I don't remember slapping you across the face. I apologize for that. And I was like, okay, apology accepted. So then a little bit later, she's in the kitchen and she's sitting there and I'm seeing this look on her face, and it was just like bitterness, and it's boiling to the surface. And she said, I don't remember slapping you across the face, but you know what I do remember? I remember it was another accident, and she said, when you were I would hit a parked car in a parking lot, and by the time I got home to tell my parents what happened, they had already found out because the people had called them. And she said, I remember being so upset at you that I hit you so hard that you flew over the laundry basket and onto the floor. And I actually I remembered the incident, but I didn't remember her doing that to me. And as she's telling me, her anger is like boiling to the surface, bitterness and just like all this emotion. And then I kind of went in the bathroom and I cried. And I was like, I could see her angry and I'm crying. So clearly I'm still upset over this too. So it was about the next day she ended up having a stroke. And I was with her when she had the stroke and was able to get her to the hospital, and which allowed for us to have like about 11 more weeks with her before she ended up passing. Maybe a little bit longer from that moment on. But what it ended up doing for us was having some really difficult heart-to-heart conversations, allowed for her to start healing some unnecessary stuff that she didn't need to hold on to anymore. And it allowed for me to start healing myself and my inner child with stuff that I didn't need to hold on to anymore either. And by the way of doing this, it allowed for my mom and I to start having a more healthy relationship, where in her last months or weeks of life, we got to laugh. It was like the veil was lifted off of her, and she was this innocent child that just got to laugh with me instead of being so angry and bitter. To me, again, these are like God's gifts. These are like these beautiful gifts from the universe that we can have. So that's why I really kind of talk about the importance of forgiveness. It's for yourself and it's for the other person, because I don't believe that we're meant to hold on to this stuff. In fact, the more that you release it and the more that you let it go, the more loving, compassionate, and understanding you are to other people. So I hope this video helps inspire you in some way to really ask yourself if this grudge or if this, whatever it is I'm carrying, is necessary, and if I need to hold on to it anymore. All right, thanks for watching.